Welcome back, everybody, to the WoW Nightcap. My name is Flattus. With me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Talan.
How's it going, everybody? Nice to be back.
So, for those of you that are listening to this right now, you're probably 1 week deep already into the War Within pre-patch. You're finishing up the last couple, the last 2 weeks of your mop remix tunes. You're starting to use the Radiant Echoes to do things. We're in the aka TLDR. We're in the thick of it. it's getting close. So with that being said, let's jump into what you and I have been doing in the World of Warcraft, because there's a lot of things happening in the World of Warcraft right now. Let's start with the stuff that's happening outside of retail, because there is some things happening. I know we talk a lot about retail, but there is a lot of things happening outside of retail as well. So let's jump into Classic for a minute. So with Classic, you have Season of Discovery and you have Cataclysm going on right now. Cataclysm it's Cataclysm. So it's happening, it's doing its thing. I'm curious. I kind of want to know who's playing out there. I mean, I am curious. Because the Rise of the Zandalari questline, I think, is heading out there right now. So that means people are going to get a chance to get the Panther Cub pet and the Hexcloth bag. So I'm curious with the Rise of the Zandalari and the Zulaman Zulgrub heroic dungeons. Who's out there playing that? I'm curious. I'm curious by that because that's what's happening in Cataclysm. Over in WoW Classic, though, the new Season 4, Season of Discovery, Season 4 is out. It is the let me pronounce the name right. It's the eruption of I forgot the name of it. Is it the eruption of Blackrock Mountain? I believe it's called the eruption of Blackrock Mountain.
I would like to throw you a bone on this one, but I have not kept up with Classic this time around, so I don't know.
It's okay. I'm looking it up. Yeah, it's the Blackrock eruption event. First season Discovery Season 4. So what's happening here is now they're unlocking this time around. People are going to be able to get Firelands Embers to get their characters ready, and I'm sure people are already in the raid, knowing how Season Discovery works. They're currently in a Molten Core raid. There is some new stuff in there. Talon, I really need to jump into Season Discovery because there's new dungeons, and it's not just normal Classic. There is new dungeons that they've added, and I'm so curious by this. And the catch up for Season of Discovery is pretty good. Like, I may have to figure out a time. I don't know when I'm going to find time, but I may need to figure out a time to catch up, because in order to catch up, they have a 150% XP boost all the way up to level 50, and after level 50 to 60, it's a 50% XP boost. That's not bad. So you could get to endgame pretty quick. And it sounds cool. And then I guess rogues are going to get a special weapon that didn't exist in the game prior, called the Shadow Flame Sword.
Oh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's some cool, like, what if scenarios happening with Season of Discovery. It's not just runes anymore. It's what if vanilla Warcraft. Like, what if this happened, and what if this happened? There's a new secret boss in the raid as well.
Yeah, it sounds like I need to really get back in there too.
Yeah, there's a world PvP event. There's fire resistance gear. There's new daily quests. There's the Thorium Brotherhood. There's the Hydraxian Water Lords. Like, there's a lot. There's Nightmare Incursions. There's a lot. There's the Blood Moon. That's a thing.
And it's not Oh, I guess that's Dark Moon.
Yeah, the
I was
Blood
like,
Moon
and
PvP.
it's not just a fair.
Yeah, so no, it's a cross faction PvP event in Stranglethorn Vale that happens. That is perhaps the deadliest piece of endgame content in World of Warcraft Season 2 Discovery. So um, slaughter coins are the new level 58 Blood Moon event currency. I just like the name slaughter coins. Ooh, improves your chance to get a critical strike. Oh man, there's a lot of cool stuff. Loop of the Magister, Ring of Dreaded Mist. So I guess you PvP under. Oh, that's a cool. That's kind of a cool. I'm gonna send this image to you. It's kind of a really cool image. You battle under a blood moon.
That's pretty legit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
I like that.
Did I read that right? That it's a though PvP combat shares a few similarities to PvE combat, fighting dragons is much different than sparring against other players. Yeah, I know that already. Where did I read? Cross faction PvP. So can you play with other factions? Is that what that means?
That's what it's reading like. But
Man. Yeah, yeah. Looks like it just it's like just everyone just fights under the blood moon, I guess. Blood for the blood god. So that's what's happening currently in Classic and Cataclysm. Back over to retail and back to over what Tal and I have been doing now for the last few days is participating in the War Within pre-patch event. Now, I didn't start the pre-patch event until Friday. There were some fixes that were implemented that week. So Talon had more experience with the pre-patch prior to those fixes. Do you want to talk about what happened?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Okay. So when pre-patch launched, it was a shit show. It was okay. It was fine, I guess. But it did not feel like a pre-patch. It felt like a chore. It was awful, and there was just so much wrong with it. First and foremost, I guess the elephant in the room for the first part of pre-patch, which was one of the first things that they decided to implement a change for, at least when the dev team started talking about it, the weekly cap on the quest that you can do to get Radiant Echoes. Before you could only on one tune. You could get on every tune that you could get a weekly quest for each tune to get a quest that you turned in to earn 100 or 1,000, 1.5k Radiant Echoes, which sounds great, right? Except it kind of forced you to play a bajillion alts. So in order to kind of get any of the currency that you wanted to do the upgrades, you needed to run on multiple alts, and the grinding for events that were not up just did not last. So depending on where you were, depended on how many people were there actually grinding some of the living memories, it just took forever to do. I think I spent an hour trying to level my priest, and it took, in that hour, I got 500 Radiant Echoes, and I got 2 levels before pre-patch, before the update to pre-patch, and it was not great. It was not great, and that was even after doing all of the quests and all of the events. It just was awful, and then the hour and a half wait for each one was just not good. It kind of made it to where you logged in, you accepted the quest, you waited because you didn't know when it was going to be up. You just waited. And then once it was up, the only thing that really mattered was the first boss at the start of the event in each individual zone. So there was like this slime thing that you would go and fight, and after you'd fight it, that's what started and kicked off the rest of the event for the entire zone. And the bad thing about it was, or like the worst thing rather, in my opinion, was that if you were not there for the start of that zone going live, you missed everything. Because everything died so fast because, I mean, you just had to be there. So, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in these zones. And you can imagine when you have that many tunes, most of them are probably at max level or at least 60 plus. So if you're in there trying to level anything, forget about it, because you're not going to be able to tag enough to really get the full credit for it. And it was, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy 14, it was like the Fate system, but worse. And that's kind of the best way to describe it. It just felt awful. So if you miss the train right from the beginning, and then with dragon flying, you get to go really fast, but then like people get out of your range of vision. So if you're just like not on top of it, following the group as soon as they go to the next one, there's not like, oh, we're all going to this memory. Oh, we're going to this memory. It was kind of random. The zones didn't give a very clear like indication of what the next one was supposed to be. So people just went willy nilly. And if you didn't pick the right one, that was the one that the group went to, you just didn't get credit at all. So you could have waited an hour and a half for that zone to spawn, get into the zone, and then still not get any credit for being in the zone and participating. Granted, the big boss that shows up, you're able to participate in, and that lasted a little bit longer, but it was also zerged down so fast. You barely got a few hits in, but thankfully, even before the changes, as long as you hit it once, you still got full credit for that. And that's just for the pre-patch itself, right? The big to do about it. There was a lot of instability, like there's a lot of crashes from the game. The bugs were there were so many, but some of the ones that I noted were uncompletable quest chains. The UI would break constantly with or without add-ons disabled, enabled, installed, uninstalled, didn't matter. Tune animation locks, and there was a moment in Dalaran where your character would sink into the ground up to like your shins, and if you played like a gnome or whatever, you're up to like your waist or higher. You're just sinking into the ground. Then there was no rhyme or reason. But the biggest and most annoying issue was probably the UI. The UI was either dropped down, expanded, your resolution didn't match your screen, and there's still some of that now, but it's not as bad. It needed polish, and I had suggested that they had waited at least 2 weeks, like push the launch back 2 weeks, extend pre-patch by 2 weeks. Because this just wasn't ready at all. Well, Blizzard was very aware of that. I with a combined voice on the forums and a couple of other places, Blizzard responded and fixed all of that. And they did it really, really quickly. They've patched it. I think it took them 2 days to get it all figured out, at least for the most part. They changed it to where now every event is on an hour loop, and it's on the hour, which makes it so much easier to keep track of. You now get 3,000 for each quest you turn in, 3,000 Radiant Echoes, which is awesome. But now they have that capped as a daily for every tune, so it's warbound, which is great. Because, I mean, technically you don't get as much farming that way as you did in the old way. But, and this is the big caveat, so you only get 3,000 for turning in the quest. But now, all the living memories are radiant, or what are they called? Radiant memories, living memories. They last and are persistent for the entire hour in that zone. So now you can just keep farming over and over and over. And they've increased the XP gained by tunes under level 70 by a metric ton. It took me 30 minutes, 45 minutes to go from 60 to 70 in one zone. I was max level, and I was able to. I had enough gear or enough of the Radiant Echoes to buy a few pieces of gear by the time that was done. So, good on Blizzard for actually listening and taking part in kind of the community feedback and responding very, very quickly. Some of the things that they had put out, and it was on Twitter. And this is what they said. When was this post? On August 1st was when this post was put out. And they say, we have heard your feedback and are testing updates to Radiant Echoes events. Things that are coming out are immediate event respawn, which is what we had just talked about. Weekly quests, now daily, increased currency rewards, hourly event rotations, and updates to come later as we go through. But they went above and beyond to try to fix this as quickly as possible. And so now it feels like a pre-patch event. It feels like, hey, this is the event where you go and you get gear for your character. You get a ton of XP if you want to have some alts ready to go. And you just get to sit around and vibe. Now, there are some issues, some lingering issues still around for sure, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But that was what it was before, and now that these fixes have been implemented and they've been around for a little while and things are kind of stable, it's a lot better. So with that being said, Flattus, you only have seen it from this point of view, right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
I think it's good. As a pre-patch event, right? Like, it's made for catch up. Now, it's not going to be one of is it going to be like the Legion event where everyone's kind of waiting around and driving things and like killing the stuff and like power leveling? I don't know if it's that fast, but it's pretty fast. Like, you were almost getting a level per like
almost once every 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. Like, that's a solid like. Are you even wearing heirloom items to boost your?
I did not. I did not use a single piece of heirloom at all. And actually, what I'm going to be testing today, I'm going to be running 2 tunes. One is like they're both going to be level 10, and I'm going to run them one without any heirloom gear at all, and just jump in there and see what happens. And the next one that I'm going to run is with a full set of heirlooms and see like what the difference is between those two.
Right on. I have a feeling that there will be a difference, fully. So I think it'll be solid. I think you'll see a huge difference in the heirlooms. Like, I'm almost wondering like if it goes from like every 5 minutes to like
every mob kill.
maybe depending how fast those mobs die. Or maybe it's like multiple levels per kill. Like, every kill is like you get 2 levels. So I'm sure someone out there's done that already.
Oh yeah, someone's definitely already done the math. I was watching a few YouTube videos before we got into the show, and for sure people are testing it. But if you've been a fan of the show for a little while, like you've seen Reading Rainbow, right? Like we're kind of you don't have to take my word for it, right? So I want to go test it out myself and kind of get the feel and experience what that is like firsthand. But you're right. I mean, it's not as fast as Legion because, I mean, I think that was pre-patch done. Like, it's kind of hard to top that one. But it's fast. It's very, very fast, and it feels good. It's like it's very chunky, but in a good way, I guess. Like you feel like you get to know the level a little bit before you move on to the next one.
Yeah, I believe it. So right now, I feel like the event is it mindless? Yes. Like, I feel like once I would say don't. If you wanted like any tips from me, I would say don't buy your gear. Like, don't waste your stuff on buying gear unless it's like the last couple weeks, right? Like right before the event, just to, if you want to gear out of tune. Um, Spend it on the mount and the pets first because you will get those quickly. You might as well get those out, knock those out now, and just have them because this is what the only time you're going to be able to get this stuff. So might as well go get the mounts and pets now, knock that out, then go in and just keep doing the event and put any gear that's not for your character running at the moment, put it right in your warband because it's all warband gear. And then when the next character goes and they can grab that stuff when they're at level and they can wear it, and then you have a geared character ready to go. And any character that you have the potentiality of missing some pieces, whatever flakes you have or recovered memories you have, flakes, thinking of time rifts, recovered memories that you have, take those and then fill the gaps in for those characters, and then you'll have a bunch of alts ready for more within. um which again, at this point in time, we're looking at a, oh, where is it? We're looking at, if you have early access on, as of the 8th, it'll be 1, 2, 3 weeks away, with official launch 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks away from Tuesday. That's crazy at time of our recording this. So that's crazy to think about. That's crazy that we're that close. Um, but I agree. Like I said last episode, I think the 90-minute turnaround time was too, like, a weird time gap. Like, you would do the event. Because like it wasn't, because it wasn't taking an hour and a half for you to do the event in the zone, right? They would knock it out.
No, like you knocked it out within 10 minutes of the slime going down.
So, and then having 10 minutes. So then you had 80 minutes of nothing but waiting.
Yeah, I mean, you could try to farm the rest of the mobs there, but most people dipped out, and so if you don't have a group to kind of sit and farm with, it was kind of pointless.
Which isn't great.
No, and
So,
that's not what you want in a pre-patch event, where it feels bad to participate in the event.
yeah, you want it, like, a pre-patch event to me is an event that should feel rewarding for doing it. Like, I want my rewards. I would like them quickly. Like, it's a limited thing. Like, I should be able to me, I should be able to get everything I want out of it. And when I feel like I've done that, then I should I should be able to stop playing it and not feel punished for not doing it. And I'm glad they listened to that feedback, because that's the feedback
Oh
that
yeah,
all of Warcraft should be going forward. Um, so, and I hope that continues, because it should continue. So,
yeah.
um,
And if this is any, like, if we're going to take the feedback on pre-patch as a precursor to how they're going to react to us in the War Within, I'm very hopeful, because they seem to have their ear to the ground and are paying a lot of attention to the forums, to social media, to other outlets, where they're just like, we want to know what you think, and we want to work together with you to make this great for everybody, not just like old Blizzard would say, well, this is what it is, this is how we designed it, there's a reason for it, get over it.
yeah, I I, I like the concept of this new Blizzard. Like, they're just instant. It's like, it's not, hey, we're gonna fix this in 2 weeks. It was, we fixed it quickly. Like, the turnaround time in fixing it was very fast. And, like,
Yes.
as fast as they could, like, rally the troops to get it fixed and get that done. So, very, very surprising, very happy that they did that. Love that they did that. And it's great. Like, it's refreshing to see. And for those of you that may be out there and it's like, well, if they would have just done this in the beginning, there's a little bit of, hindsight is always 2020, and I know there's going to be well, Blizzard, Blizzard would have just like, I get that, and I understand where you're coming from with that resentment, because if you're like me and you've played this for years, my first thought was like, why do the 90 minutes? Why even bother? But then I am coming from the perspective of they probably did it so people wouldn't slam through it quickly, right? Like their idea was probably like, oh, this should take some time and we'll speed it up gradually. But in reality, what people want is just to be able to do it, feel like they're successful and move on to their alts, right? Like it's supposed to
Yep.
be all friendly, and then 90 minutes isn't all friendly. Right? Your
Right.
whole thing is that our war bands and stuff should be alt friendly. 90 minutes doesn't help that. So now it feels right. Now it feels good. I feel like I get enough. I had enough residual memories in the few times that I did it. I got the mount and one of the pets, and that's pretty good. So now I'm working on getting the other two pets, and then I'll work on probably getting the 32 slot bag on my other tunes, and the make sure I get all the reagent bags on all my other tunes and stuff like that, and just from there, just keep going. And then, so I got a mage to level. I got some other things I need to level. So
Yeah, and I mean they are really making it a lot easier. And you mentioned that whole like resentment. They should have known better, but kind of given a little grace in that regard. Because almost certainly the same people that were working on this game, even 10 years ago, aren't the same people that are working on it now. Right. I mean, there may be some similarities, and like some people still around, but it's an entirely different like crew, right? Almost assuredly, that's the case. So I mean, they're listening. They're having a good time with it. We're having a good time with it. But I also don't want to gush the whole time, right?
no,
Because there are some. No, because there are still some issues that are pretty glaring with this that I think that they can address. I don't know if they will address because it is kind of minor. And so I'm interested to see what they do there. And this may be just a prevalent thing across the entire game. I don't exactly know. So last night, you and our producer and I, we were kind of doing some shenanigans, hanging out, and just in voice. And that's really what this pre-patch is for. Jump on with some friends and just kind of grind out, right? It's not like super duper engaging, but if you got some friends to hang out with, chat with, have a few drinks, have a nightcap, and just kind of hang out with, it's super awesome. But we noticed a pretty glaring problem, one that was super frustrating for me. If you try to do your daily quests while in a raid, you get absolutely no credit for that quest at all. And there was a workaround that was attempted where we would try to drop from the raid just before the boss would die, and then it put us in an entirely different shard. Where it just like didn't matter. So that feels really bad. So like you're punished for grouping up and doing MMO things in an MMO. It kind of feels like that. Now I'm being a little kind of I don't know, like it's not that big of a deal, because you just jump in a party, or you can just go solo, kill it, and then it's no problem. But part of being in an MMO is being able to go in with like a group of people, and that was one of WoW's really big strong suits. Hey, you want to do this dungeon? Hey, you want to do this raid? You got to go out and you got to find people, and you got to jump in, and you got to go make it happen, right? So that feels kind of weird, right? That feels kind of weird. The other thing is, if there is an entire like raid group already partied together and they go into a zone, the zone shards, and then if you try to go in there separately and that zone is already full, it's very apparent. It is very apparent, and you feel kind of alone. So my recommendation to anybody out there, go in with your own party, no more than 5, and you can get a lot done, and it feels pretty good. Or go in solo. Um, don't go in and try to do it with a raid unless you've already done your daily. Outside of that, it makes it for a very unfun experience.
Fair. I that's one thing I wish Blizzard would fix. Like, just let people do a quest. Like, I understand why they don't allow questing in a raid. That I under like, because then you'd have like people doing raid quests and knocking out quests in like no time. So I understand that, but there has to be something that you can do to allow it when you're doing events and people are like geary, like, because then it's like if I kill the thing, I'm punished for having to drop the party, and if I get zoned to a different zone, I'm screwed. If I've just put
Yeah.
all this work in to get to the end. So it has to be something you have to figure out. Be like, hey, this is like, if they have to be marked as raid accessible quest, make them marked as raid accessible quests. And then yay, nobody's hurt for doing the thing because they're raid accessible. They could figure it out. I believe in them. Like it may not be on their to-do list at this very moment, but hopefully in the future they can get that figured out, because it does feel a little bad to be like, all right, well, guess I'll just let's just start over then.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and I'm not
it does feel bad.
does feel a little bad. I'm not gonna lie, it does feel a little bad. So, but again, would love to see it fixed. I think it can be fixed. Um, hope it is fixed. I mean, not gonna lie about that. I hope it is fixed. So, um, it's but it's like out of the gripes of things. Do I like? Does the event work now? Yes. Is it a doable event? Yes. Does it feel good to do now? Yes. If this is the one thing I have to complain about, that's on the scale of things, it's not that bad. Like, it's not doesn't feel great, but it's also not that bad. Like, because there are times where I've dropped and I've been fine. I've been in the same area, the same thing. So it's not every time that it happens. It's just sometimes. And the let's say 20 or 30% of the time that it does happen, it feels bad. But the 70% of the time when it's not happening, it's fine. Like, it's just we're all in this together at that point. So
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, again, it's just one of those small, like, gripes because I didn't want to gush over everything, but
mhm.
it was just one of those things where, like,
Yeah,
there are some kinks to be worked out. Like, I'm not gonna say that there's not, but it feels a lot better than it did before. And it's fun. The other part, like, I have discovered that leveling other tunes through this, you get to play with classes that you normally wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on. So, like, for example, um I don't know. I don't really jam with shaman all that much. I think I've
mhm.
touched it like twice. Um, so I haven't done it yet, and I plan on doing it because that's one of the classes that I want to test out. But and it just goes more to my point. What I'm trying to iterate here is, if you had to level from 1 to 70 in the typical fashion, um, you kind of have this idea of like a slog, like, man, do I really want to spend all this time leveling a character or a class that I'm not sure I'm really going to gel with? Like, what's that going to be like? Is it going to be better at end level? Like, I really don't know. I don't know if I want to spend all of this time doing that.
Yeah,
Where now in the pre-patch event, you get to spend, like an hour, 45 minutes leveling up um, a whole new tune, and then you get to experience a class that you normally maybe wouldn't have spent all that time with, and now you get to
mhm.
do it in a way that doesn't punish you, if you don't end up enjoying it, right?
Yeah,
So I think that's really cool, and I'm excited to see what that's going to look like, for me as I kind of test some of these things out. I'll have a better idea of that, in our next episode for sure.
yeah. So with this all being said, we're so close now to, getting to the upcoming expansion. Are you ready for do you feel like you're ready for the expansion?
Now that I have new things to do, no. But I mean, realistically, yes, I do feel like I am ready for the expansion. As far as like, I have a tune that I know that I want to go in with. That tune is geared to at least 480. Um, and I feel like I'm going to be able to go into this expansion ready to experience an entirely new Blizzard and an entirely new expansion. I am really excited to see what happens and what's going to go down and like how the game's going to feel now that Warbands is like fully integrated, now that like reputation and everything is fully like shared for every tune, that every quest is already kind of like, I'm excited about that part in the new expansion. Like, it's been fun to play with that here, but to now see what that's going to translate into a new expansion, um it feels really really good. um I just, I'm being maybe a little too overhyped for it, but I'm trying to like reel in expectations. But to answer your question, yes, I do feel ready, and I want to get in there and I want to see what it's going to be like. I want to know.
I'm with you. I want to get into I definitely want to get into the thick of it and really play around with, um, getting through. I just want to play the expansion already. I think that's part of it, is that I'm ready for the expansion. And in terms of like me being ready, like as a player wise, I'm ready. As like for my characters and stuff. Now I still have more to do. I still need to get things done. So I'm ready, and I'm just excited for it, and I hope that it does well. Like I feel like something. As a person who's played a lot of MMOs and has a lot of end game characters in games, um, and like for example, I've just gone through. Both you and I have gone through and played, the Final Fantasy 14 expansion, and I have thoughts on that. And for me, I was hoping for some changes and some things to come that aren't there yet. And that feels bad because I liked, like, story wise, like it's fine. Like I'm not here to like, the story was okay. I had more issues with pacing, and none of the voice acting was bad, none of the characters were bad or anything like that. It's just the pacing was off for me. Like it went from like it's sort of like a mobile scooter at a grocery store that like it's got the two speeds. It's got turtle and rabbit, and I felt like it was we went from turtle and then we went straight to rabbit. There was like no gradual like in between, and then sometimes it went like back and forth a little bit too much. Like it was like turtle rabbit. Like it's just,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, oh, all right, like a little whiplash from all this pacing. Just need to relax it up a bit. So so now I'm curious about like how World of Warcraft is going to do their storytelling, because they're really digging into this. Like the fact that and it's something that you and I haven't talked about, and we should mention, like, as soon as you accept the first quest to do this event, you are hit with the last, like, a retelling of the last three, 1, 2, maybe 4 years of Warcraft information. But at least you're hit with Legion, you're hit with,
I mean, everything.
Shadowlands, Battle for
Well,
Azeroth, like.
it's a recap of basically Legion, like the end of Legion to current.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's pretty much a recap of Legion up to current. And It's a lot of information. And you don't think about it, but, like, they're prepping you for some story, and, like, if you haven't played, like, it's good on 2 halves. It's like, if you have not played this in a while, here's what you're getting. Here's the information you need. If you have been playing and you haven't kind of paid attention to the story, hey, story's gonna be a little important, you might wanna pay attention to this too. So, with that being said, I'm curious as what they're gonna do with story and how important it's gonna be. Like, I think you mentioned it on the last episode. Like, it's like a cow's chewing cud. Like, it's uh, like even I can even tell, like, they went. I don't know if you noticed it, but in some of the cutscenes in the thing, I was like, I know they reanimated the mouth, the mouths on these.
Yeah.
I know for a fact because some of the vocals didn't match up. Just like they matched up, but they didn't match up enough. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you did some touch ups,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. You did some cheeky touch ups. That's what you did. So, I'm very, very curious at the end of the day, like what is going to happen and how this is going to work. So, I I'm excited for it. I'm happy to see pre-patch is going well. Um, there isn't much more information I think you and I have at the moment. Um, and you and I are trying to keep ourselves pretty spoiler free. In terms of the expansion, without giving ourselves any like bad. Like I don't want to know anything that's going to affect the story because if story is going to be something big that's going to happen, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mm, you know.
And that's been frustrating too, because there's a lot of really good things out there, and I see a lot of people really hyped about it, especially those that are in the beta versions.
Mhm.
There's a lot of real good stuff in there, and I hear it from time to time, and it's like, nope, 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 don't want to know, don't want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, it's currently wild what's going on right now. So everything feels good. The timing on everything feels good. The timers on everything feels good. Want to remind everybody this is the last Dark Moon Fair of Dragonflight. So if you need to go do the Dark Moon Fair, it is currently up right now. The next one will be up during the War Within, first weekend of September, the first full week of September. The Dark Moon Fair will be up. So if you need to go get those last minute catch ups and experience and rep grinds, Dark Moon Fair is up. Go ahead and get your stuff going, so you can go get those things done. Um, just want to remind people of that because if you're like, oh, I gotta finish up some of my reps, this is go get your rep bonus and maybe go get your XP bonus too because I think you can get an XP bonus at the Dark Moon Fair if I remember correctly. Um, so you want to go do that stuff, especially right before uh the doing the any of the pre-patch event stuff too. So that way, if you're trying to get us some XP gains, you know, give yourself all the opportunities to get all the XP
Yeah,
you need. So,
and
um,
they're handing it out like candy, so there's plenty of it to be had.
yeah. So I think that's all we have for this episode. The only other thing we had is, I don't think we're gonna mention it. Honestly, I don't want to give this guy attention. I think
No,
I don't.
yeah,
I don't want to give the guy attention, but I will say this. Let's just. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, if you don't know, you're probably better off not knowing. But if
if you know, you know.
if you know, you know. But if a community website gives you a shout out and shows off what your important thing, you should maybe take a little bit of a moment and say thanks. And if you truly feel that you don't want your content being displayed, up on a website, handle it accordingly, but don't be a jerk about it. Just be nice. There's a way to do it and there's a way to not to do it. And some people just did it the wrong way, in my opinion. There's a way to go out there and be like, hey, uh, you know, I would at least like if you would ask permission first before posting my stuff on your site. Is there any way you could take it down? I would, if I don't think that happened. And that's unfortunate. So, you know,
There's a reason why you dry your laundry in your backyard and not out for everybody to see.
Yeah, nobody wants to see your grandma bloomers.
No. So, yeah, I don't want to give that guy, just like you said, don't want to give that guy any more attention. But be respectful, be kind. I mean, the creator space, for the most part, is a pretty welcoming environment, and treat it accordingly. You know, um, rising waters rise all ships, or however that saying goes. So don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. All the other euphemisms for that. Um, just be kind.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Just be nice. Everyone be nice. So, all right. And with that, I believe that you and I are, I think we're in a good spot. I think we're gonna get on out of the tavern, and go back to leveling and gearing and doing all the things. Um, oddly enough, I think let me double check. Our next episode technically will be on the eve right before the game launches.
Oh,
So we may need to discuss,
yeah.
like, do we pause and then regroup after post launch of the? We'll talk, like, we'll talk closer to, like, maybe, we'll see. Maybe we put a little something out. We'll just hold on tight. But anyway, what you should do though is go to our link tree and then go find our episodes and then go find all our socials and do us all the follows. And if you're coming back and you're just finding us, hi, hello, welcome. We hope you're doing a good thing. Our 50th episode will be right before the War Within launches, or after the War Within launches. We haven't decided that part yet, so that's what hell of a time to come back. We're 50 episodes deep, and we're about to jump into the World Saga on episode 50. So
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and if you're new here, hello. If you're not new here, also hi. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah. So as always, remember, this drink's on us. You don't have to go home, but adventure responsibly, and be nice to the bartender Bob. He's doing his best. All right. He's just here to show you a good time. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us on this episode of the WoW Nightcap. We hope you're having a great and wonderful pre-patch event, and we hope to see you all on the next episode in the tavern. And of course, we hope to see you in Azeroth when War Within drops. Thank you, everybody. Have a great time. Bye.
Have a good one.